Hello and welcome to this lesson where we're going to go over a few key concepts that are relevant when designing t-shirts. The first thing worth pointing out when you're about to create a new document, whether it be in Illustrator or Photoshop or any other graphics application, is that you should use CMYK for the color mode. So if we go to File, New here, we could see that under Advanced, we have color mode, which we could specify as either CMYK or RGB. Now, while you can get away with submitting RGB-based graphics for t-shirt design, it's most ideal to use CMYK. Now, another common question and concern is whether or not it's okay to design a t-shirt in Photoshop versus a truly vector application like Illustrator. And the answer is yes, it is okay to use Photoshop. You just have to be certain that your resolution is big enough. So if we go to File, New, and Adobe Photoshop, of course, we want to, let's just say a standard t-shirt design concept is usually around 12 inches by 16, and choose CMYK here. And the resolution as well is very, very important. You have to make sure that your resolution isn't like something like 72, which is a web resolution, or on a computer. You can use at least 300 and then hit OK. And of course, this will be a quite big document, so we can see it's only at 8.3% in view. So this will be large enough to ensure that it is printed with crisp quality, essentially. All right, so another consideration is whether or not you should use gradients, and that's dependent on whether or not you're going to go the route of screen printing or digital printing for the t-shirts. So if the t-shirts will be printed by screen printing, you should not use full gradients, but you should instead use color halftones. And the way you create a color halftone here, for instance, in Adobe Illustrator is, let's say, for example, we have just a rectangle and we're going to give it a gradient. First, let's go ahead and get rid of that stroke. We'll give it a gradient here. Once you have your gradient or whatever it is, it could be any type of shape, obviously, you can go to Effect, Pixelate, and Color Halftone. Let's just change this up to maybe 30 for the size and hit OK. And now it changes it to what's called a color halftone. All right, so if you use a digital printing process, you don't have to do that. You can actually use a gradient. All right, and another consideration is proportionality in your design. So t-shirts all have the same basic shape, so your design should ideally fit well within more of a portrait orientation opposed to a landscape orientation. That is, a design that's either square or at least taller than it is wider. And then finally, another consideration is creating t-shirts that sell well. So creating concepts that people will actually want to buy is hugely important for most shirts. This sounds like a given, but coming up with great and unique concepts that are well designed and spending a lot of time on that process of concept development can go a long way to ensure success. All right, so with that said, let's move on to our first project. I'll see you then.